Here are 5 hidden gems you need to know for this year's 2025 NFL Draft. Number 1 is Central Arkansas edge rusher David Walker. This year, Walker won the Buck Buchanan Award, which is given to the top defensive player in FCS. Walker has been a force to be reckoned with these last couple of seasons. The last 3 years, he has had a total of 31 sacks, 63 tackles for loss, 5 forced fumbles, and 151 pressures. His incredible numbers earned him an invite to the NFL Combine. Lots of people are starting to notice David Walker, and he's going up on people's big boards. Out of all the players I'm going to be talking about, Walker is probably the most well-known one. In my opinion, despite him playing at a small school like Central Arkansas, that should not hurt his draft stock because it's not like he's had just one good year. Like I mentioned, having over 30 sacks the last 3 seasons, he's been one of the most consistent edge rushers in college football these last couple of seasons. David Walker is somebody you need to remember for this year's draft. Another hidden gem you need to know is Delaware running back Marcus Yarns. This season for Delaware, he had 133 rushing attempts for 844 yards. That is 6.3 yards per carry. Went along with 6 rushing touchdowns, 17 receptions, 297 receiving yards, and 5 receiving touchdowns. This season for Delaware, he had receptions of 65 yards and 86 yards. His 2024 season was impressive, but I think his 2023 campaign was even better, having 135 rushing attempts, 940 yards, averaged 7 yards per carry, 15 rushing touchdowns, 24 receptions, 311 receiving yards, and 3 receiving touchdowns. So in the last 2 seasons, Yarns has totaled 41 receptions, and 8 of those have been touchdowns. Nearly 20% of his receptions the last 2 years have been touchdowns. He is a big playmaker, and in 2023 against Penn State, he had a 66-yard rushing touchdown against the Nittany Lions, having 6 rushing attempts for 86 yards and a rushing touchdown. Marcus Yarns was invited to the Senior Bowl, and he also got a Combine invite as well. And I think if he has a good enough 40-yard dash, his draft stock is going to skyrocket. Marcus Yarns is somebody who I think, in my opinion, is one of the most slept-on running backs in this year's draft class. Another hidden gem you need to remember is Illinois State safety Keandre Jackson. This season, Jackson had 98 tackles, 58 of them were solo. He had 2 forced fumbles, 1 fumble recovery, 1.5 sacks, 3 interceptions, which one of them was returned for a touchdown, and 6 passes defended. He's one of the hardest hitters in this year's draft. He was invited to the Hula Bowl, where he was amazing, having 7 tackles and 2 interceptions. That great performance in the Hula Bowl helped him get an invite to the Senior Bowl, where he was really good in that game as well. Keandre Jackson is not only one of the most underrated safeties in this year's draft, he's one of the most underrated players in this year's draft. If your team is looking for a safety on day 3, look no further than Keandre Jackson, because he might just be one of the biggest steals in this year's draft. Another hidden gem you need to remember is Jada Byers, the running back from Virginia Union University. Byers put up video game-like numbers this season, having 329 attempts for 2,061 rushing yards. That equals to 6.2 yards per carry. He had 27 rushing touchdowns this season to go along with 28 receptions for 154 yards. This season against Bowie State, Byers had 35 rushing attempts for 324 rushing yards. That goes out to 9.2 yards per carry, and he had 6 rushing touchdowns. Just because Byers played at a Division II school, I think it's unfair that he's not getting talked about as a late-round draft pick for a running back needy team. We've seen so many running backs throughout the years be day 3 picks or even undrafted and go on to be some of the better running backs in the NFL. Look at Austin Eckler. He was an undrafted free agent. Aaron Jones was a day 3 pick. There's so many other examples. I think if you're a team and you need a running back on day 3, you have to go get Jada Byers. The final hidden gem you need to remember is Central Missouri quarterback Zach Zebrowski. In his 2024 campaign, Zebrowski threw for 4,724 yards, 40 touchdowns, 12 interceptions. His completion percentage was 67%. He threw for 393 passing yards a game. He also ran for 600 yards and had 10 touchdowns on the ground. In a November matchup against Missouri Southern State, he was 44 of 47, 614 passing yards, 4 passing touchdowns, and 3 rushing touchdowns. You can't even get that on a video game. Like, that is the perfect game you could possibly imagine. He had 7 touchdowns and just 3 incompletions throughout the game. His incredible season this year, he earned the Harlan Hill Award, which is the Division II Heisman. And as great as his 2024 numbers were, he had even a better 2023 campaign where he had 61 passing touchdowns, only 5 interceptions, threw for 5,157 passing yards. His completion percentage was a whopping 69%. He threw for 396 passing yards a game, had 533 in the ground to go with 2 rushing touchdowns. In his 2023 campaign, he had 9 games with 5 passing touchdowns or more in a game. And also, 2023, he won the Harlan Hill Award again. So he won a Division II Heisman back-to-back years. His pocket awareness is fantastic. His off-the-script plays are absolutely phenomenal. He is extremely mobile. If I'm a team who needs a quarterback on day 3, I'm taking a chance on Zebrowski 100%. If he's an undrafted free agent, he's the first undrafted free agent I'm going to be calling. Somebody needs to take a chance on him. Zach Zebrowski, the Central Missouri quarterback, one of my favorite quarterbacks in this year's draft class, in my opinion, is by far the most underrated quarterback in this year's draft class. That about does it for this video. Comment some hidden gems you think are very underrated heading into this year's 2025 NFL Draft. If you're new to my channel or if you've seen my videos before, make sure to like this video and hit the subscribe button. I would really appreciate it. Thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you all next time on the Sports Dude Hines Show.